Disturbing information surfaces regarding the Nixon scandal, an interview with the whistleblower known as Deep Throat. All of those and other stories in the Channel 4 News 6 o'clock report. From WRC-TV, this is News for Washington with Krunker Wonkite and Carl Tuckerson.
Good evening. President Nixon has finally released the tapes that provide undeniable evidence of his association with the Watergate crimes. For those unfamiliar with the Nixon scandal, in 1972, members of the Committee to Re-elect the President, or CREEP as it's known colloquially, yes, members of CREEP, broke into the Democratic National Committee's Watergate headquarters. They stole documents and bugged phones. However, the wiretaps failed to work properly, and the perpetrators returned on June 17th to help fix it. They were caught red-handed in the process. President Nixon has denied all claims that he or his White House staff were associated with the break-in at all.
People have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. And I'm not a crook.
However, not everybody was convinced. Reporters like Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein were suspicious of a larger scheme. We have an exclusive interview with Bob Woodward where he delves a little deeper into this.
Hey, Mr. Woodward. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. First of all, I would like to congratulate you and Carl Bernstein for finally uncovering the truth. It surely had to have been an uphill battle. Oh, you've got no idea. Nixon's been trying to cover this up since '72. Speaking of the break-in, how were you able to figure out Nixon was associated with it? Well, simply, we just followed the money. We saw that one of the robbers deposited a check for $25,000. We traced it back, and it came from the Committee to Re-elect the President, or as you've been calling it, CREEP. Absolutely despicable. Donators must have been absolutely livid when they found out that their donations were going to such a scummy cause. What did Nixon do following this? Nixon immediately tried to cover it up. In fact, he instructed the CIA to interfere with the FBI investigation. And how were you able to discover that? Well, I had a little help from my friend Archibald Cox and a secret informant we called Deep Throat. In all honesty, we wouldn't have been able to catch Nixon if it weren't for Cox and Deep Throat. Despite the threats of Nixon, they didn't stop trying to bring about justice, and I think that's beautiful. That's truly amazing. I'd like to offer you and Carl Bernstein many thanks for uncovering these dastardly schemes of Nixon's. It's been a pleasure to meet you finally.
President Nixon has finally released the tapes that prove his association with the Watergate crimes. We have Jam Jimson live on the scene.
I'm live outside the White House, and President Nixon has finally released the tapes that prove his guilt and association with the Watergate crimes. While the tapes have not been released to the public, it is clear that it implicates him in these matters. As you can see, there's a small crowd of protesters forming outside the White House.
It's despicable. Nixon lied to me, he lied to you, he lied to all of us. I'm outraged. Nixon's gotta go.
Oh wow, some seriously harsh words from protesters. Next, we have an exclusive interview with the secret informant known as Deep Throat.
So, Deep Throat, how do you know Woodward?
I have known Woodward for quite some time now. To protect my identity, I will not elaborate on when and where I met him.
Completely understandable. It's obvious you're risking quite a lot to be Woodward's secret informant. What prompted you to do this?
I believe it is morally right. It is my duty as a civil servant to uphold and enforce the law. It doesn't matter to me if the perpetrator in question is just some random lowlife or the president. Justice will be brought about nonetheless.
Well, you were very brave and courageous. You've truly proven yourself to be an American hero. But may I ask, why did you choose Deep Throat to be your alias?
It's quite funny, actually. One of my favorite films came out with the same name. I actually have a copy here if you'd like to watch it.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. I'll definitely be sure to check that out. Thank you so much again for coming on today. Back to you guys in the studio.
So did you watch the movie? I prefer the term film, and yes, I did. Well, do you still have the copy? If so, I might have to borrow that. Well, anyways, that's all we have for you tonight, folks. I'm Carl Tuckerson. And I'm Crunker Wonkite. And from all of us here at WRC TV, good night.